Hello! Today we are going to talk about Masonic symbology in Mozart's Magic Flute. This is Vienna. The city is famous for being an important center of musical development in the European continent. It is the home of the first Viennese school of music, which includes Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven, some of the most famous and influential composers of Western art music. Mozart was a very prolific composer who became famous as a young child. He had even written a symphony at the age of 8. He was a keyboard virtuoso and a musical genius who composed many works such as concerti, string quartets, symphonies, and operas. The Magic Flute is one of Mozart's most famous operas. It was widely successful with audiences after its premiere on September 30th, 1791, and is still very popular today. The opera tells the tale of the hero, Tamino, a lost prince who must triumph through several trials to prove himself worthy of love. The theme of good versus evil, alongside its elements of fable and magic, make up a work of art that is not only a product of Viennese culture, but also a vehicle for the ideals of the Age of Enlightenment. The philosophers of this movement include Voltaire, Kant, Goethe, and Schiller, all of whom were Freemasons. Freemasonry is an ancient order that was entrenched in the ideals of the Enlightenment, which are using reason as the primary source of authority, advancing liberty, progress, tolerance, constitutional government, and the separation of church and state. This philosophy directly shaped the political landscape of Europe and Americas. Revolutions arose to favor individual liberty and religious tolerance over an absolute monarchy and religious authoritarianism. The French and American revolutions are perfect examples of the rise of nation states where the people could be ruled by the people instead of a king or a pope. The libretto for the Magic Flute was written by Emmanuel Schikaneder, though the true authorship has been contested, but that's a story for another video. Both Schikaneder and Mozart were Freemasons. Mozart was initiated on December 1784 in the Masonic lodge Beneficence and became a Master Freemason the following year. Since music played an important role in Masonic rites, Mozart composed several works for the order. L.F. Lenz once said, "The purpose of music in the ceremonies is to spread good thoughts and unity amongst its members." And he thought that music should inculcate feelings of humanity, wisdom and patience, virtue and honesty, loyalty to friends, and an understanding of freedom. Without a doubt, Mozart helped influence the libretto, and it makes perfect sense that he would use the work as a representation of the Enlightenment and Freemasonry. The earliest commentary on the Magic Flute was written in 1794 by Ludwig von Batzko, a Freemason who described the work depicted as the age-old struggle between light and darkness, good and evil, enlightenment and superstition. Batzko interprets the characters in the following way. The Queen of the Night is superstition. Pamina is enlightenment. Tamino, spirituality not yet perfected. Papageno, folly. The three boys are the powers of the mind. The Magic Flute is the single voice of nature. The bells are flattery, and the sevenfold shield of the sun is true knowledge. Looking at Batzko's character representation, one could say that Tamino, the hero, is searching for enlightenment with the help of nature, the powers of the mind and true knowledge, and that he must rise above superstition. Another Masonic interpretation of the work was published in Leipzig in 1866 and was written by Moritz Alexander Sill. He was a theologian who was a fervent Freemason. According to him, the characters represented the following. Tamino was Joseph II. Pamina was the Austrian people. Sarastro was Ignaz von Born. The Queen of the Night was the Empress Maria Theresa, and Monostatos was the clergy. It also suggested that Monostatos represents Leopold Alois Hoffmann, a Freemason that was seen as a traitor for telling the Emperor Francis II that the Masonic lodges were planning a revolt to the crown. It's doubtful that the lodges were planning a revolution, but the opera is replete with Masonic principles of the Enlightenment, such as justice, fraternity, and equality. The number 3 has a great significance in Freemasonry and appears often in the Magic Flute. The 3 ladies, the 3 temples, and the 3 boys. Features of Masonic music include songs in 3-part harmony, triple time, 3-fold repetitions, emphasis on major triads and parallel thirds and sixths to depict a harmonious balance. In Masonry, when the candidate was ready for initiation, they would have to knock on the door of the lodge 3 times before entering the lodge. The knocking pattern is 2 short ones followed by a long one. In Masonic music, this is often represented as follows. A specific scene that holds many of these Masonic musical symbols is the March of the Priests in Act 2. The opening of this scene have the chord progression 1, 5, 6, a common Masonic progression. It also uses wind instruments which were associated with Masons, and a series of ascending sixths and thirds. It should be mentioned that much of Mozart's non-Masonic music probably contained parallel thirds and sixths, 1-5-6 progressions, and dotted rhythms. However, these techniques are present in the Masonic music of the period, and Mozart would have been deeply aware of them, so he probably used them in his own Masonic compositions, such as the Masonic Funeral March, K543, and the Magic Flute. Mozart, in a letter to Padre Martini, writes, "We live in this world to learn industriously, and by exchanging our ideas to enlighten one another, and thus endeavor to promote the sciences and fine arts." The Magic Flute is a cultural achievement of the Enlightenment, and it has many properties derived from Freemasonry as evidenced by the treatment of the libretto and the music. It teaches us that individuals can rise above and reach their incredible human potential through reason, perseverance, and virtue. Thanks again for watching. Hit like and subscribe.